The Great Barrier Reef on the coast of Australia spans for over 1,400 miles, or at least it used to. According to a study published in Nature, since 2016, around 50% of the once beautiful reef has died. Coral bleaching is just one of many consequences of climate change. Climate change is a very serious threat to our planet. As an environmental science major, almost every class I take discusses how the warming of the planet can lead to a lot of problems for all life. Today, I will pass that information on to you. First, I will talk about what is driving climate change. Second, I will talk about the consequences of climate change. And finally, I will talk about the politics behind climate change. Understanding the processes that cause climate change can really put a perspective on how big of a deal it is. Rising greenhouse gas levels in the atmosphere are the biggest factor in climate change today. Since the beginning of the Industrial Revolution, CO2 levels have been rising steadily along with the temperature of the planet, largely due to human activity. Humans have used coal and other fossil fuels as energy sources since the late 1800s. When these fuels are burned, they bond with oxygen and create CO2. The CO2 then blocks UV rays from escaping Earth's atmosphere. This creates a greenhouse effect, causing temperatures to increase. According to NASA, CO2 levels in the atmosphere is currently at just over 400 parts per million, which is the highest it's been in over 800,000 years. What this means is that for every 1 million molecules of air, 400 of those parts are CO2. Along with CO2, other notable greenhouse gases are nitrous oxide and methane. CH4 and NO2 are two of the most potent greenhouse gases. CH4 is over 30 times more potent than CO2, and N2O is 250 times more potent than CO2. Thankfully, the concentration of these gases are nowhere near as high as CO2. Rising temperatures and increased CO2 levels can have a devastating effect on the environment. NASA and the National Oceanic Atmospheric Administration warn that increased ocean acidity and more extreme weather are two big concerns of climate change. When CO2 levels rise in the atmosphere, a portion of that CO2 dissolves in the ocean, which creates a few problems. The first problem is that the increased CO2 levels in the ocean cause the pH balance and temperature of the ocean to change. Most marine life is accustomed to a certain pH level, and when that level is off, the animals start to die. I mentioned an example of this earlier with the Great Barrier Reef. More than 50% of the reef has died since 2016. This is because the pH level is dropping in the oceans. Along with coral reefs, other animals are being affected. A lower pH level interferes with some shellfish's ability to extract calcium for their shells. The second problem is that the increased temperature makes for more severe weather. A warmer ocean is going to evaporate more than a colder ocean, even if the difference is only a few degrees. When warmer air is added to the mix, you create an environment where strong storms are going to be more likely. Warm air is going to be able to hold more moisture than cold air, meaning when the storms do start, there will be much more moisture in the air. We've already seen examples of this with the recent hurricanes in Florida and Houston. While many countries are taking measures to slow down the effects of climate change by passing policies, other countries are a bit behind. The politics behind climate change are very controversial today. Some of our country's top officials believe that it is a hoax, while many leading scientists say it's real. One of those top officials who thinks climate change is a hoax is none other than our president, Donald Trump. Donald Trump has repeatedly denied climate change and has tried to revive a dying coal mining industry. Along with this, President Trump pulled the United States out of the Paris Agreement. The Paris Agreement is an agreement whose purpose is to try and limit the warming of the Earth to 2 degrees Celsius. The United States is the only country to not be a part of this agreement. On the contrary, many of the leading scientists in the U.S. believe that climate change is very real. Neil deGrasse Tyson is a renowned astrophysicist, and in a recent interview with CNN, Tyson discussed climate change and how it's important to not dismiss studies if multiple are pointing in a general direction. I believe climate change is a huge threat to the world right now, and if left unchecked, it could destroy the world as we know it. Understanding how it works, what the consequences of it are, and how we can prevent it are all huge factors of how our world will look in the future. Hopefully now you know a little bit more about climate change. Thank you.